Hey friend, in this video, I'm teaching you how to paint blue flowers. We're painting lilacs, which you're probably like, that's not a blue flower. Delphinium and cornflowers, all in a monochromatic bouquet piece, wet and wet. I'm starting with water first, and then I'm dropping in some Prussian blue and some cobalt blue, and we're going for this like French, what's that word? Starts with a P.
Porcelain.
Porcelain. French, I was gonna say polyester, it's not polyester. French porcelain vase vibe, like you see in the old school vases, the porcelain vases. Anyways, if you're ready, this is a really fun tutorial. It's gonna help you stay loose, go with the flow, paint monochromatic, and I'm gonna show you where to add contrast, how to liven the piece up with just one color. If you're ready, let's dive in. Alrighty, so in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to paint a blue flower bouquet using lilac flowers. I know those are more purpley, sometimes they come in white variety, but we're going to interpret it and do a more like cobalt blue, Prussian blue vibe for all of these flowers. I'm going to do lilacs, delphinium or larkspur, still haven't decided. I'm going to decide right on the spot, and cornflower. So something more like fluffy, bushy, and wild kind of texture for all of these flowers. And using a lot of wet and wet. So this is gonna be a very loose style painting. And I'm gonna use my size 6 brush for the whole thing. And if you need reference, all I do is hop on Google and kind of do a quick scroll to get a sense of the overall shape of the flower. So we have a spear-shaped flower with tons of little tiny flowers on it. And they're kind of just like 4 petals, really small and dainty. It's gonna be really nice. And the leaves on these are kind of long and narrow. So there you go. That's kind of my approach. A little bit bigger, actually, wider leaves. So that's gonna be really pretty. I love that look too. So we're gonna have, from there, if I need like help visually with the flowers, I'll hop on Google and then I'll just kind of make mental note or reference of how I want the piece to flow. And I mention this all the time in my tutorials, but I try to go for an S shape for my composition and styling. So I'm gonna have my lilacs kind of poking up toward this corner, maybe my larkspur or delphinium pouring this way, and then cornflowers down here. So I'm gonna start with my lilacs. I'm even gonna do the stems blue. Everything is blue. It's monochromatic, kind of in the style of that like French porcelain. I can't remember the area now, but I'm starting with water first and painting in some stems for my lilac. Staying very loose and letting my arm and brush work together. So I'm just gonna start with water first on my lilac stems. And I'm staying really loose and kind of like I'm sketching. Obviously I'm not using a pencil, but I'm just kind of taking that approach. Instead of getting a really precise curve or line, I'm kind of sketching with my brush almost. And then I'm gonna use water still and about a 45-degree angle hold on my brush, and I'm up higher on the brush because I want to really feel these petals. And I'm just kind of placing my brush around the stem. We're going for kind of like an oval shape around each stem. And I'm not painting each individual flower, you know, as photorealistic, you know, every single petal. I'm just going in with water and kind of dotting around. And I'm gonna go, while this is still wet, and add in some of my petals. You can use cobalt blue, Prussian blue. I'm using a mix of cobalt blue and Prussian blue. So the water is helping to diffuse the blue And I'm just going around and plugging in some fluffy texture using Prussian blue and cobalt blue. Maybe I'll do a leaf here. So I'm going to use a slanted hold, press, and release pressure. Pressure, release. Kind of taking a higher up hold on my brush. This is what feels more like I'm dancing with the brush. Instead of being so tight and precise with all of my motions and strokes, it allows me to be more free and kind of just step back and let my eyes and hand and brush work really nicely together. Staying really loose, not overthinking it, and adding contrast with dark blues and light blues, and then just water. And because we're using wet and wet painting, just gonna have a lot of fun blooms and bleeds. I might go back over part of this leaf. We've got some lilac there. Now I'm gonna move on to some cornflower. I don't really know what their leaf situation looks like. So I'm gonna pull it up. They're like long and skinnies. And then the actual flower is really cool looking with the spikies. So I'm gonna start with maybe a couple cornflowers over here. I might add some more down here. So we're gonna start with overall shape as a star shape. I'm pointing with a slanted hold of my size 6 brush. I'm pointing my brush with little to no pressure, and then I'm just gonna add 3 little strokes. Point and 3 strokes. Thin, pressure, pressure on either side. And we're gonna add paint to this, but we're doing water first. And each petal is pointing back to that same middle spot. So I'm gonna grab some of that. And sometimes you won't see much bleed. That's all right. Just while you're working wet and wet. It's gonna create a fun bloom to what you're painting. Might go in between some of these petals and get even fluffier. And then go back in with more contrast in certain areas. Maybe this cornflower is a side facing. So we're gonna do a V shape. And we're just gonna press on the brush and still follow that V shape with our petals. Just trying to stay loose with it. Bringing the stem down a little further. And grabbing more water. And we're gonna do our delphinium stalk kind of in the background here, so I'm gonna make it much lighter. So we're gonna have this right corner higher than the left corner. So then we wanna pull people's eyes down to the bottom left corner so we have opposing corners. So I'm gonna do some sort of drooping leaf situation here. But I'm gonna go here with my stem for the delphinium, and we're going behind these flowers. And kind of curl in. And instead of, so it doesn't look just like the lilac, what I'm gonna do is kind of create bigger flowers by pressing and kind of grouping them in clusters of 3 petals or 5 petals sometimes. Just pressing and kind of, so you can see. So with our delphinium, we're painting in a little slightly more defined flowers, petals, and still dancing around with darker blues and lighter blues to create this soft, diffused look. For the leaves, if you struggle with leaves and need more practice, check out our leaf playlist. Tons and tons of videos there. It'll help you with these compound strokes for pressure and release. Pressure, release, pressure, release. Gonna do one more leaf up here. Little stem here. Kind of looks like it's out by itself, so. There we go. And now let's get some lilac leaf pointing down here. just coming over here to fill out this right side a little bit more. We're just adding little peaks of stems on the delphinium for more movement, and then we can call it a day. So the important thing to keep in mind while you're painting it with a monochromatic type of palette is that you're making sure to incorporate darker and lighter values, because that contrast is what's going to help really create excitement and pull people's eyes into the piece. So we have some darker leaves, darker petals, lighter petals, and those bleeds between the light and dark blues are what's going to really make things pop and look really interesting. Thanks so much for watching. As usual, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all of that stuff to our channel. It means the world to me and John. We put in so much work for all of these videos. And if you liked this tutorial, or maybe you tried a different color, or you want to see a different type of monochromatic painting, let me know in the comments below. I would love to paint something for you and do a tutorial on it. I would love to paint one of your ideas and do a tutorial on it. So drop it in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.